Alright, so from So's Real Thoughts, this is Kristen from SalesOnFilm, and we just went to AFIFEST and watched Blue Ruin by Jeremy Saulnier.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We saw it on Friday night. It was a movie that I had no idea what it was about.
Did you watch his previous movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Have you?
I saw his previous movie was Murder Party, and it was very like almost a student film. It looked like it was shot on like just like a Sony cam,
Yeah.
and it was literally about a murder party that he finds an invitation to on the floor. And so Blue Ruin is totally different. It was
Sounds like a way big step up.
yeah, no, it's like huge
Yeah.
because the production value.
Yeah, it looks like a real movie.
Yeah, it really does
Yeah.
look like a real movie. And so the story is about this homeless guy who discovers that the person that killed his parents is now getting released from jail, and he's trying to get revenge on him.
Yeah, so, but it unfolds in a real, you don't know any of that until like well into the movie.
Yeah.
Like it just starts out with this guy, played by Macon Blair, and his name is, what is it, Dwight? Yeah, his name is Dwight. And you just see him and he has like a big beard and he's living in his car, which is the title.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the title is Blue Ruin, and that's, I'm assuming that's the name of the car.
Oh, I didn't really think about that too.
I was trying to figure out what the title referred to, and the car is blue and it's like really, really beat up and like crappy, and at first you think it's not gonna work, like you think he's just living in there on the beach, but then when he goes back to Virginia where he's from, he uses the car, so the car obviously works, but I thought that's where the title came from. But anyway, he goes back to Virginia to find this guy who you later find out, I mean, I guess this is a spoiler alert, not really, but he does murder the guy who killed his parents. Yeah. But up until that point in the movie, like, I don't think this guy, Dwight, has said a single word. You don't know anything about him. You only know that a guy killed his parents, and that's why he's going to Virginia, but you don't know. And then the rest of the movie unfolds, and it just gets crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just like one thing after another. But for the first like half an hour, 40 minutes, you really don't know where the movie's going or anything about Dwight or anything about his past. And it's just like, it unfolds and goes to crazy places.
I mean, we've seen so many vengeance movies, so it's by now it's like, you know, there's a certain formula you kind of, that everyone hits, you know? Like,
yeah, this was totally different. It was almost backwards.
Yeah.
It's way different than like, I mean, the movie I compared it to was Jeff Nichols' Shotgun Stories. Because you find out later in the movie that it's kind of a blood feud between Dwight's family and the guy who killed his parents, but his whole family is involved in it.
Yeah, and always like revenge is a
cyclical
thing, and so obviously you know how it's gonna end, and it's almost the consequences that come with it.
Yeah, it's the Greek tragedy aspect of whatever a blood feud is gonna be, but it's sort of the opposite of Shotgun Stories, because you know from the beginning that Michael Shannon is getting revenge for this act of violence. But in Blue Ruin, you don't really know the details of it. You learn about it sort of as he goes about going from one family member to another. And I think another good comparison would be Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Because this movie is actually really funny in parts.
I think that, were you surprised at how funny it was? Because that's how, I feel like that's his style of, the stories that he tells, is that in these really tense moments, he puts in these, like, almost slapstick, like,
yeah. Well, I think most of the humor stems from the fact that Dwight is not, he's just a regular guy, and he's a very quiet guy. Like when he was living homeless, he didn't talk, so he really doesn't have a lot of lines, but he's just a regular guy. He has no idea how to like be a hitman or like conduct all these murders, so he goes about it in a way that's like very seems to him like the right way to do it, but like he's not a trained assassin. Like he doesn't know what he's doing, so a lot of the humor comes from like him not knowing what to do, or him behaving in a way that we're unaccustomed to seeing, like revenge thrillers.
Because you have certain expectations, because you already know it's a revenge film, and so you expect certain things to happen, and it doesn't, and that's what's so surprising about the film, that it doesn't really follow too many of these guidelines where it's
Yeah.
like, I attack you, you attack me back, and it kind of goes on from that. And
Yeah,
so,
and it's very Coen Brothers-esque in the fact that it's not an excessively violent film. However, the acts of violence come around very suddenly, and they're very, like, bloody and realistic. So it's kind of like...
which I totally love.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Coen Brothers thing where, like, you're laughing 1 minute and then a guy's head is getting shot off. Like, just literally seconds after. So it's kind of like that unexpected aspect of it is very reminiscent of that. But I thought overall it was extremely competently made, very well shot. The lead actor was very good. Like, his performance is really, or that character is really unique. It's not like when you talk about the main character in a revenge thriller or a Southern Gothic blood feud kind of movie, like, it's very atypical for that kind of movie, and he really sold it, because I think a different kind of performance in that role would have killed the movie, really.
It's funny because in his previous film, Macon was in it, but as a side character, and so it's so crazy to see him in, like, up front and as this, like, with a character with so much depth and just, like...
Yeah, the main character, the main guy. And he's really, if he doesn't work, the movie doesn't work, because you're with him for such a long time before anything really happens, or where you know what's going to happen. You're kind of like, oh, because when he, like, starts to commit these acts of violence, you're like, oh, who is this guy? But you're kind of already with him just because the performance is so captivating. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was
really good.
I thought it was pleasantly...
really
surprising.
Yeah, really good American indie. I don't know if it has distribution or not yet, but if it gets to theaters, check it out.
Yeah, sure. I think he's one of the most he's like the rising star when it comes to American cinema, because it's just he's very different. He has a very clear vision of what kind of story he wants to tell, and he does it with such a unique style. It's just so hard to have that blend of humor and thriller, tense.
Yeah, there was a lot of tension. I mean, it's a legitimate thriller. It just has a lot of really funny moments. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
No, just if it gets distribution, check it out. The movie's called Blue Ruin. The director is Jeremy Saulnier. We think that's how it's pronounced. And check it out if you get a chance.
Alrighty, well, follow Kristen on SalesOnFilm at tumblr.com.
.tumblr.com.
.tumblr.com.
And it's the same on Twitter.
Yes. Alright, bye.